Oh boy, I'm excited today because I'm going to talk about one of my favorite action figure lines and one that I don't think gets really talked about that much, SilverHawks. And the reason why I'm talking about it today is because, well, by the time this video goes up on the main channel, I will have put up a review of the cartoon. So, link will be in the description. Probably put one up there. I think it should be there by now, and there'll be a thing at the end of the video as well. But yeah, the cartoon, spoilers, not as good as it should be. The toys, however, were still pretty cool, so we're going to look at all the ones that I have. Alright, so we'll start with Quicksilver here, the leader. Oh boy, I love the shiny chrome look these action figures have. They're so really cool to look at, and he's got his... well, his wings, but we'll look at those in a minute. These figures, I think nowadays, are very difficult to come by, at least in good condition. I think I got these right about the time they were still low in price, although a couple of these are actually mine from when I was a kid. The reason why I think these don't, or rather they have higher prices, is because, well, they tend to damage very easily. A lot of times the shiny chrome plate here, whatever material they use to make these shiny, it does degrade over time. The ones I have are kept in very good condition. There's a couple little marks here and there, but we'll look at those as we go along. Also, the paint on the face and the one hand they have tends to not hold up very well. This one is pretty good, except for the very tip of his nose. He does have what I like to call a sphinx nose, where the tip kind of degraded. But overall, it doesn't look too bad compared to a lot of the ones I've seen on eBay and a lot of the ones I've seen otherwise, because they, like I said, they don't really hold up that well. And the action feature they have is also a problem, but I'll talk about that. We're going to get the main 4 SilverHawks out here first before we talk about that, because they all have the same action feature, unfortunately. So, yeah, not really much in the articulation on this guy, of course. You got your legs, and I think the head moves. Yep, that's about it. That's all you get. So here's Quicksilver. We'll put him right here. I will be trying my best to not do anything to these figures because they are kind of fragile, and we'll talk about that when we get to the action feature. But each of the figures came with a bird, and this is Tallyhawk, who is the face of the franchise. Really cool. He's got all kinds of little devices there. Again, these held up pretty well. Surprisingly, these are not that difficult to find with their birds. The figures are. And I have every bird for every figure I have, which is really cool. I don't have some of the harder to find figures, but we'll talk about that as we go along. So this is a little accessory they have. They can clip it onto their arm. I'm not going to do that because I don't want to scratch up the paint. But they also tried to give each of the birds some kind of action feature. This one is like, he like retracts. And I'm not entirely sure why. Maybe it's like so he can go fast or something. I don't know. I always see him with his wings splayed out in the show, so I don't really know what the point of that is. So yeah, that's pretty much it for this. They don't really do a whole lot, but they tried to make him do a little bit more than, just be an accessory, an overglorified accessory. All right, so next up we have Copper Kid. I really love the colors on this guy. Very cool color scheme. This one has held up surprisingly well. Again, same action feature, but he's got almost a pristine gloss on him. Like the shine, so good. That I think I've maybe mentioned that already, but that's one of the reasons I love these figures so much. They're so pleasing to look at. Look at that. Look at that chrome. Look at that polish. So good. So, Copper Kid also came with a bird. Don't fall over, please. This is Mayday. Mayday was introduced later on. There was like an episode where they gave all the characters their own hawks and whatnot. The feature on this one right here, I think it's a whistle. I'm not entirely sure. Let me put my mouth on it and find out. Yep, it's a whistle. I guess it's just like the idea, I guess, is to warn the others or something like that. But yeah, I probably should have cleaned it before I put it in my mouth. But other than that, it doesn't really do much. I think the head moves, but that's about it. All right, so we'll put him down right there. Let's move on to Steel Will. I love, this is probably my favorite of the colors, the twin characters. Steel Will, you can see there's a little bit of guff on this one. Has not held up as well as the others, but still looks pretty darn good. From a distance, doesn't really, you can't really tell. God, I just love to look at it. Can I just stop talking and just look at it? It's very satisfying for some reason. All right, so there's Steel Will. Let's put Steel Will over there. I'm going to try and get them all in camera, but I don't think I can. So Steel Will comes with Stronghold, who I think they tried to market as like the second mascot of the series, and I'll talk more about that in a bit. He probably has the most reasonable action feature. His wings can squeeze together, and I guess he can grab things. So that's really cool. I kind of like the look of that. I wish it was painted. I wish this had more detail on it. So Tallyhawk has all the detail. The rest of these don't have any. But yeah, that's all right too. You can again clip them onto his arm, but I'm not going to do that because it will scratch up the paint. All right. Next up, we have Steel Will's sister, Steel Heart. Again, this one has held up very well also. In fact, it's almost as good as Copper Kid, it looks like. Some minor scuffs there. The unfortunate part about, female action figures with paint is that oftentimes the paint usually comes off right on the tips of the boobs. I have several other figures of female characters that have that. Some of them I tried to fix, but can't always do that. That is very unfortunate, but yeah, what are you going to do? This one, again, has held up very nicely, though. Very cool. So we'll put her. Let's put her next to Steel Will there. They're siblings and all. She can stand up. Please don't fall. Okay, thank you. All right. So Steelheart's bird is Razor, which is very similar to Stronghold, but this one different design, and he does this. It's fun. I guess I think in the show he was like a spinning saw blade or something like that. So he's got that going for him. The other Hawks in the show were not really used as much for some reason. They did use them a couple of times, but they were kind of an afterthought after a while. They just they had this big reveal of all the new Hawks and everything, and then they just didn't always use them. Or if they did, it was very infrequent and brief. But yeah, I kind of like this one though. I think it's like almost like a fidget spinner. Anybody remember those? Jeez, I did a video on a fidget spinner. All right, so now we have the four main guys out here. Let me show you the action feature for these guys. It's pretty cool at first, but there's kind of a problem with it. So you squeeze their legs together, and their arms go out, and they can act like they're flying. And actually, they look pretty good in this pose. Now, the problem with this is that the joints in the legs, they don't really hold up that well. And a lot of times the leg would pop off. In fact, the original Quicksilver I had, the leg popped off, and that was not fun for me. But thankfully I got a replacement. So you can't really do this too much, or if you do, don't do it too hard. So that's one thing to consider when getting these. Make sure that the feature is still good, Oh, don't fall. All right, so thankfully some of the other figures are built a little bit better. So let's bring out who is easily the best character in the show, Bluegrass, with his cowboy hat and his smile and his guitar. So in the show he had a guitar, just a regular, as regular as it can get. But in the episode where they introduced new Hawks, they gave him a guitar-shaped bird named Sideman, and that's who this is. I wish they gave him his actual guitar as well. I've never been able to figure out a good pose for this with without damaging it. But there you go. He's kind of holding it, I suppose. This one is another one that is held up very well. I do take very good care of these, but these figures in particular, just for the reason they tend to scuff and break. The paint on the arm and the face is really good as well. You can take his cowboy hat off. He's got a little metal mohawk there. Also, he doesn't really have any action features. He just kind of poses. You can sit him in the Mirage, which they did have a toy of. I unfortunately do not have it. I like the molded boots he's got on there. It's hard to believe. Like they make it look like clothes, but this is just his body. That's just how he is. Yeah, I love this one. This might be my favorite. Actually, is that a little scuff on the eyebrow? I didn't even notice that. Oh, well, okay. Well, he's not perfect, but we still love Bluegrass. Let's put him over here with Copper Kid. Okay, so one of the better built SilverHawks right here is Commander Scars. Ooh, well, first of all, I almost said his name wrong, and then I hit the camera. That's not professional. Commander Scars. I almost did it again. Commander Stargazer. There we go. The gruff, noir, fed-up police officer / detective of the group. He's the commander, and as you can tell by his suspenders and messed up tie, he has had a long day of solving crimes and would like to go into his fold-out bed in his office because that's where I don't know where I'm going with this. The point is, he had this whole shtick where he was like a gruff detective in space, and it was kind of interesting. This one, built more like a regular action figure. Joints are very tight on this one, actually. I probably have not played around with this one much. Got knee joints, so that's something the other SilverHawks don't have. And overall, it just looks really good. And the whole thing with him is that you'd be able to see, and you kind of actually see it there. It's all blurry because of the camera, but you would actually look through it with your eye, and you can see things magnified. Let's see if it looks fine through my regular eye, but not like that. He's got a thing on his back. I don't remember what that was for, but his bird right here, this is Sly Bird, who is, I think, more of a reconnaissance bird in the show, and his whole actually I kind of like this shade of yellow. It's all very gold, very much like him or his little feature. Actually, let's before we look at Sly Bird, let's look at some of the detail on this guy. Look at that. I believe, did this move? No, it doesn't. I like that the neck is like fully detailed there too, and he's got all these little things on there. Really cool figure. All right, so let's put him there next to Bluegrass. It's a little bit off shot, but that's fine. So here's Sly Bird. Sly Bird, like I said, is a reconnaissance bird, and his whole thing is he has another magnifying glass. And there, oh, look at that. It magnifies pretty good, but it's all blurry because of the camera. Let me try it with my eye. Nope, it's just blurry. Never mind. Unless I'm looking at something up close, is it? Oh yeah, actually, if you look at something up close, let's see if we can recreate this. Okay, so it's not for distance looking, but it's still blurry because of the camera, but you get the idea. So there you go, Sly Bird for Commander Stargazer. All right, so let's look at the new SilverHawks, or at least some of the ones I have, the ones that were introduced later in the series. Here is Hot Wing. He was like his character was kind of weird because he was like a magician, and then he became a SilverHawk, and then he got like real magic powers because of the cybernetic upgrades or something like that. I don't know. It's weird. He was a really cool character because he was one of the stronger of the SilverHawks. So if I'm not mistaken, his whole thing is that he spins. I think is it the legs, or does he wind up? I don't remember. Unfortunately, he might be broken, but I'm not entirely sure. But visually, he does hold up very well. Very nice shine to him. He's got this going on there. I don't know what that's all about. His wings are not attached, actually. They're on his arms only. So that's pretty cool. I guess that was part of the spin gimmick. Yeah. Does he wind up or something? I don't know. Let's see if we can get him to do a little bit of a spin. Maybe? Okay, so he's got a spin like that. Okay, well, you get the idea. It's an old toy. What do you want from me? So there he is. So let's put him right there. Don't fall. Please don't fall. Okay, so his bird is Gyro, who I think also spins. Yeah, he also spins. I think if you splay the wings out, yeah, there you go. Not as graceful looking as Razor, but yeah. I like his wings because it kind of looks like a hair clip, like one of those like clips. Like my mom used to have a lot of those. Yeah, that's his thing. Actually, it works better like this. Maybe it's meant to do that. I don't know. I'm not entirely sure. I don't have the instructions, but there we go. We'll put him back there. All right, so now we move on to the most baffling character in the entire series. This is Flashback. I think of all the figures, though, he might be my favorite visually, just because he's got like the full like bird headgear on. Plus, as a figure, he's got a lot of the standard joints, so he holds up a lot better than some of the other ones. His whole thing is he can display his wings out like that, so he has his wings on his back, which may or may not be more efficient. I don't remember. The show wasn't written very well. I'll refer you to my review of it, but there you go. The green on this is very, very vibrant on camera. I think it's messing up the shot. But in person, it looks a lot better. So his whole thing was that he had time travel ability. And that's why he was so baffling, because I don't understand why they would give a guy like this time travel abilities. I mean, they worked it into the show for the most part, but it just seemed kind of strange. Also, he's got like actual bird feet. He's the most bird out of all the birds. I don't know. Maybe maybe it's his fursona he's modeled after, and I don't know where I'm going with this. All right, so there's Flashback. And we have with him, his bird, Backlash, which is kind of a strange one because his whole thing is his leg and tail come out, and it does that. So, yeah, I think they ran out of ideas with some of these. I guess maybe it's better to hold, maybe let's try the front one. Actually, let's try there you go. He can actually hold one. He doesn't have paint on his arm, so I'm not worried about messing it up. All right, so there you go. Flashback. Join the others, and don't fall. Whoa! Don't fall over. Hold on. Let me get him stable first. His feet are kind of a little bit there. Okay, there we go. That should do. Stay. Okay, nice. Again, we're being very careful. All right, and the last Silverhawk I have is this guy, Condor. He was one of the last ones introduced in the show. He has got a lot of gear on him. This guy's whole thing is he was Commander Stargazer's like partner or friend or something, and he became a Silverhawk himself. And he's got all these like mechanisms and stuff. He's got a grappling claw, which I will fire that way. Where's the fire thing for it? Is it on the top? Hold on. Where is this? Oh, it's on his arm. I didn't really... I've had this figure for a while. I never realized it's actually molded to his arm. Well, there you go. That prevents it from getting lost. Hey, oh, jeez. There's a lot of power in that. Gotta be careful. Okay, careful with your spring-loaded missiles. And he's got his hand on this switch here, which I think if you put backward... Oh, no, that takes it... Wow, it came off his back. I think maybe upward or something. I don't know. Or not. His wings are supposed to go out like that. I don't remember how to properly do it, but there you go. Man, he has got a lot of stuff on him. I do like the mold on this one, too. He's got a beefy arm. He's supposed to be like an old guy, too, which is my... I guess he has to compensate for the metal arm, doing a lot of curls on the right hand only. But there you go. He's a little more glum than Commander Stargazer, but in the show he's a little bit more proactive. They gave him a Humphrey Bogart voice, which I really liked. So there you go. Let's put him back there. And that is all of the actual SilverHawks. Is he going to stay up? Apparently this figure is a little bit back heavy. Let's put him up against the wall there. So those are the good guys. Those are the ones I have. So now let's look at the bad guys. And we'll start with the big bad himself, Monstar. Man, he looks cool. I love him. He's a very chunky action figure. Not a lot of movement, unfortunately. He had this thing in the show where these are like thrusters. So if he was in space, he can just kind of use them. Now, the figures for the SilverHawks, unfortunately, as I said, were kind of fragile. So you had to be careful with them when you were a kid. The villains, however, very solid, very well-built figures, and we'll look at the other ones in a second. Unfortunately, it does have that thing where the plastic is starting to get a little bit sticky. I don't know how to properly clean that. I think if you just use a little bit of maybe just cleansing it, like warm water, maybe some alcohol will probably fix that up. He does have some articulation, though. There you go. He's sitting now. And there you go. He also has an action feature, which I believe is one of the arms, if I'm not mistaken. Or was it the leg? Oh, no, it's the legs. Okay, so his chest opens up, and there's regular Monstar. His tiny head. Look at his tiny head. I mean, it looks uglier than he does in the show, that's for sure. This was definitely not based off the designs from the show. So if I remember correctly, for some reason when you change him into his metal form, it's not as good, but I think if you do it like this, I'm trying not to break it. Okay, it's not working as well as it used to, but it used to be like a quick change type of thing. There we go. They're spring loaded. It's kind of like one of those other the smaller Power Rangers figures where they had that morphing ability, but this one came first. So take that, Power Rangers. I love, again, the look of this. It looks really cool. So let's put him in the back there, and we'll also look at, oh, he's falling forward. Very, very front heavy. Don't fall forward. Okay, there we go. So here is his quote-unquote bird. This is Sky Shadow. I think the plastic on the head is starting to degrade. This was like some weird alien creature. They turned into a cyborg, which was kind of messed up. The show has a lot of messed up moments if you think about it too much. But he's kind of cool looking. He had a bigger version. There was a bigger version of this guy, but I don't have it, unfortunately. And there's bigger versions of the birds as well, but we'll talk about that in a minute. Yeah, again, I think if it was painted, it would look a little bit more impressive, but it's fine for what it is. I guess he's got a thing on his butt. He clenches things with his butt. So there you go. Let's move him there. Let's not knock over the figures. I'm playing a dangerous game here. I have the SilverHawks in front. All right, so next up we have Molecular. Man, God, there's so many colors in this. It's messing up the camera. Molecular was a shapeshifter. And it's always a challenge when making a figure of a shapeshifter and giving them an action feature. He does have all the standard joints as well. So he has this too, which I don't remember what this does. I think it's like, I don't know, some kind of attack he had or something. I don't know. He was a weird character. So his whole thing is his head will like go this way. And this thing will come up, and you can take his joints off and reattach them to his chest ball or whatever this is. And that's his whole feature. Instead of shape-shifting or whatever. God, it's stuck in there. Do not want to mess with these figures too much. They are very old. So there's Molecular. Again, visually really cool. And his bird is, let me put him back here first. There you go. His bird is this guy right here. This is Vulture, who has spring-loaded wings. I think. Can they stay back there? Nope. They either can't or they're kind of old, so they don't do that. So there you go. There's Vulture. Kind of cool looking. There you go. Yep. Just moves his wings. What more do you want? All right, so next up we have Mumbo Jumbo, the bull, excuse me, I was moving something over. Let's put his horns up. There we go. Mumbo Jumbo, the bull, the muscle of the group. He has a really cool action feature, which you stick his head down and she just he puts it. He charges like a bull, kind of. And I like that you can make him say yes to everything. Yes, boss. You will have to be yes man because there was no figure of yes man. Yes, Monstar. Again, very chunky figure. Not a lot of articulation, but you don't really need it for a character like this. You can, I think, put him on all fours and have him charge. That's cool. I ought to have him face off against the bull alien from my aliens video. So, his bird right here is Aftershock, I believe his name is. So I never really understood this one. His wings go back, or at least they're supposed to go back. There we go. Okay, you had to pull the head. The head moves the wings. Okay, there you go. So I never really understood this. I thought maybe it was like a way of the bird going fast or something. No, in the show, turns out he's a hammer. There was a scene where he had Aftershock and he turned into a hammer and he was swinging it around. So there you go. That's not only his bird companion, but it's also his main weapon. I kind of like that. I wish more of the other birds were that efficient. But there you go. Let's put him carefully back there. Okay. Whew. All right, so we got one more figure to look at. This is Buzzsaw, and my God, the green on this guy. Buzzsaw did not look like this in the show. I think he was more yellow, which I kind of wish he was, so it's not messing up the camera. So he's got saw blades. His whole thing is saw blades, lots of saw blades. A good amount of articulation, but again, he doesn't need it. His whole thing is he can do this. Isn't that fun? I like that they spin for a while. I kind of like that. Really cool action feature. So, here's a little fun fact about me. This guy right here, one of my all-time favorite action figures. Because, look at him. He's a giant mean robot with saw blades all over his body. He's got one on his head. He's got them on his shoulders. In the show, I think he can shoot them, but I don't think he can do that here. We're not going to try because I don't want to break him because, as I said, he's one of my favorite action figures. He is one of the few lucky ones that, should there become a sad day where I have to let go of most of my collection, he'll be one of the few that gets to stay because he is that awesome. Look at him. He has saw blades on his hands. He's got saw blades on his things. He's made of saw blades. How does he hug his loved ones? It's a tragedy. Nobody wants to go near him because he hurts everyone that he opens up to. I'm overthinking this way too much, but I love him. Love this guy. I think this is actually my original one from when I was a kid too. He is also kind of getting a little bit sticky. That does happen with, older action figures. His bird right here is Shredor, and he does this. He's like a salad shooter. He's a food processor, a blender. There you go. Use your imagination. Kind of like him. I like that this one has a little hole so that you can do this. Put him on there and keep him safe. There you go. Let's move Condor over so we can have a space for him. And boom, there you go. Right in the middle there. All right, so these are all the loose figures I have, but I do have one more, and actually, it's carded, and it's Hardware from the bad guys team. Hardware and Prowler, which is his bird's name. I love Hardware. I think the figure is really cool too. It's very solid. I had one loose when I was a kid, but unfortunately I do not anymore. I do remember his action feature though. You can load Prowler into his sack there, his little thing, and he will pop out when you push the button. So he kind of fires. He acts as a missile. Hardware with Prowler launcher. Prowler with expanding wings. I guess he went up. It's funny because in the show, Hardware. Let me try and move it back as much as I can without bumping into the figures. In the show, Hardware kind of used him as like a hang glider, and he was much bigger than that. So I found that kind of interesting. What's really cool is I got this cheap because, as you can see, the card is not in the best condition. I wonder, like, is this worth anything? Is this worth about as much as it is loose and card? Because I would love to take him out. Sorry about the jump cut. I knocked the camera over by accident. So we're going to take a quick look at the back here. So there's the Mirage. There's the main vehicle of the SilverHawks. You put Bluegrass in there, and you can put your figures in there, and they launch into action. And there's the bad guys. Ironically, there's not that many bad guy figures. Well, not part of this wave anyway. There's Hardware, who is part of second wave, and the other one was Windhammer, who I unfortunately don't have, and apparently goes for a pretty high price because he was, I guess, released later in the toy line. Condor is also part of Wave 2 as well. The rest of these seem to be part of Wave 1. And there we go. We got Hot Wing and Backlash, or Flashback with Backlash. That is very difficult. I think other vehicles were available too. I think they had one other SilverHawks vehicle, and they had Monstar's Chariot. So that's something you can get. And of course, we have the bigger versions of the SilverHawks birds. There's Stronghold right there. There's Sky Shadow, and then there's Tallyhawk right there. Cool. 1987. This is a very, very old figure. Again, I don't know if it's, at this point it'll be worth it to just take the figure out. I don't know. Collectors in the comments section, let me know if it would be cool if I take this out. Maybe we'll squeeze him into another video and we can play with him a little bit. So that is my SilverHawks figures, but I have one more thing to show, and we're going to have to go to Rob in the other room for that one, so we'll be right back. Thanks, Rob, in the spare room, and we're here to talk about this. Yes, if you saw my review of the SilverHawks cartoon, you saw me use this as a prop, or at least trying to use it as a prop. This is one of the deluxe toys that came out with the toy line. This is Tallyhawk, and there were two others. There was Sky Shadow, Monstar's Demon Bird, and they also had Stronghold, who was Steel Will's bird. But the Tallyhawk one is probably the most memorable. So as you can see, he's a pretty big boy here. Little bit of age showing on him, but that's okay. Little bit of paint, but it's not too bad. His legs go down like that, and each of his talons has a little button here. You can use it to open up. He has this thing, and I don't remember what this is for. Maybe you can stick one of the figures on there, because a lot of the figures have holes in their back. Or maybe he attaches to one of the other vehicles or something. I genuinely don't remember. But yeah, the one problem I have with this figure, or this toy rather, is that you can't like he can't grab onto things and stay there. He's very hard to display. I wish there was some way I can, have him up somewhere, clutching onto something and have him out, but unfortunately cannot. So he has a couple of features here, if I remember how to do these correctly. Yes, okay. So he can grasp with his wings. He's got a couple of buttons on his little bird butt here. So the orange one right there is, I guess, a way he can grab bad guys and send them off to the penal planet. And he has one other feature. There's not a lot of room here. You got these missiles here. These are probably the cheapest missiles I've ever seen. Look at that. Completely hollow. It's just a tube of plastic. So you can actually load these into his mouth. And you gotta kind of push them in there. Oh yeah, one other thing that's kind of cool is the button back here, works the mouth. So you can pretend like he's talking for you. And you can look into his eye there, and it actually moves. It changes the eye. It's kind of hard to see, but he goes from like regular eye to whatever that is, anger or something. I don't know. So anyway, you put the missile in his mouth. There you go. He's all loaded up, and then there you go. Wow, that actually flew pretty well, and I have to recover the missile immediately before it gets lost. And they store right under his wings there. Cool. I don't remember if there were supposed to be 3 missiles to this. Maybe there was, and then just 2 storage ones, but doesn't matter. He doesn't really need them. So, yeah, that is Tallyhawk. Really cool toy if you can get a hold of one of these. Again, I wish there was a better way I can display it. Also, the proportions are not exactly good. He's got a very short body there, but it's alright. We love him anyway. So, yeah, that's Tallyhawk. And now we go back to Rob in the spare room. Thanks, Rob, in the other room for showing off the giant Tallyhawk I have. Unfortunately, I don't have any of the other ones, but that's fine. They're very big, and I don't have a lot of space for them, unfortunately. I wouldn't mind the Stronghold one. He's pretty cool. So, for the figures, there were, as I said, a couple other ones. Windhammer, I don't have him because he's kind of rare. The other one is Moonstriker, who was, I think, one of the last ones in the line because he goes for a pretty high price as well. I don't remember how much I paid for Condor here. Hopefully not a lot. I got him a long time ago. I got some of these, as I said, were my originals, and some of them I got a long time ago as well. And there were some other figures as well. They had kind of a re-release of them after a while, and they had, I think, again, my name's confused. I think they had Quicksilver and Steel Will and one other one. I think maybe Bluegrass. I'm not entirely sure. They had these figures. They were called Sonic suits, and they were basically just redesigned. They didn't have the the splayed out arms action feature. They were just kind of different. I don't remember if they were from the show or not. I don't recall anything like that. But those figures are probably the rarest in the entire line. In fact, I believe the Quicksilver one of those is the rarest one and probably the most expensive one, which is why I don't have it. But I'm not in a hurry to get that. I like these figures as they are. I'm totally fine with this collection. Maybe one day I'll find a Moonstriker in decent condition and Windhammer, but we'll see. And maybe one day Hardware will leave his plastic and cardboard prison and join the others. We shall see. So, that is my SilverHawks figure collection. Thank you very much for watching. I hope this was interesting for people, because these videos do get pretty long sometimes. But yeah, if you like SilverHawks, leave a comment below and let me know all about it. If you don't like SilverHawks, which of these figures was your favorite? Because I'd imagine visually, these are kind of interesting to other people. And don't forget to check out the main channel for the review of the cartoon. So, thanks for watching. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. And I will see you later.